The markets are incredibly volatile right now, and you have the opportunity, if you can control your fear, to make life-changing gains that will indeed change the financial future of you and your loved ones. But you must control your fear. In this video, I'll go through what you need to look at and how you can get rid of your fear by just looking at structure. Let's run the numbers. Several days ago, I put up this fractal of the VIX compared to the March 2020 crash. We can see that the VIX spiked up, came back because the Bank of Japan said, okay, we're not going to increase rates, but tension inside the Middle East is pushing the VIX up at the current time. When we came to the March 2020 crash, it wasn't just a crash, it was up and down and all over the place. We'll see if this fractal plays out. Hopefully, things will resolve themselves and we'll go back into a rally. But if that's not the case, at least we're aware and we're tracking it. When the VIX was spiking up, this is what was happening with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was making a series of lower highs. You can see the high here and the high here. This one was a lower one than that one, and they were coming down. We had a degree of uptake inside the market, so just because the VIX is spiking, don't think it just goes through the roof and therefore prices fall off a cliff. That's not the case. You've always got bargain shoppers in these particular areas if it goes this way. I'm not saying it will, but it's really important that we keep our minds open. One thing is really clear. If we do follow this kind of fractal, we're going to get incredible bargains never to be seen again. Literally, just like the C19 or March 2020 sell-off, those prices were never seen again. You will see that people draw these fractals all over the place. Many of them have not been lecturers in statistics. And most people try to fit price to past fractals. This is not the way to go. Masterclass students, please refresh TG35. Always do your own fractals. There are a lot of fractals out there, and the majority of which are clearly distorted and misrepresentative. It's much better if you do it yourself. Keeping our eye on the VIX is incredibly important inside the crypto market. This blue line behind everything is Bitcoin. And as Bitcoin goes, so too does the entire crypto market. We can see that when the VIX comes down, it's usually accompanied with positive price action inside the crypto market. But if the VIX comes up, that weakens the crypto market. And we've seen it coming up and up and up. It's now starting to bottom out as the US session officially closes. But the increase in the VIX was very problematic to the major indices. Look at how the Nasdaq came down. We're not detecting any geopolitical risk currently through gold. If you see gold spike up really suddenly, take that as a big warning sign. And with the Bank of Japan news, we've seen the yields race up and the DXY race up as well. And that's put negative price momentum into the bond market and also the commodities market. In breaking news, Ripple has had a big win in the court system. The SEC got whacked. It had a $125 million payout, but was expecting over $2 billion. A lot of people say the XRP case is over. It's definitely bullish for XRP, but it's not over. What does it all mean for Ripple and XRP? The SEC got its butt handed to itself. No disgorgement fees. It's a huge loss for the SEC. Also, the SEC wanted to get an injunction on institutional sales. It lost. Also, Ripple did not recklessly disregard regulatory requirements. But it doesn't mean it's all over. In all probability, within the next 60 days, we'll have a new lawsuit from the SEC should they choose to go down that path. It is unequivocally a big win for Ripple and the XRP community. But don't forget, that 60-day countdown starts today for an appeal. When it comes to gold, we always look at geopolitical tension and strife. There's a lot of strife happening in the UK at the current time. Even more so, breaking, UK police can now arrest people for retweeting tweets that are deemed hateful. Self-censorship has taken on a completely new meaning in the UK as it melts down politically. But the UK is not just the only thing melting down. The S&P definitely ran out of steam. Big sell orders were coming in. That's probably due to the NOTAM, or the Notice to Airmen or Notice to Air Missions, that was given by Iran, where it warned all commercial air carriers to avoid its airspace. Effective from 100 to 400 UTC Thursday morning. And Egypt has issued the same directive over its airspace. However, as we look just right now, and this is through flightradar24.com, we can see that some commercial flights are still going on. So just bear this in mind. But as we get down to that allotted time, just keep this particular flight radar on your radar. And if all of these airspaces just start to clear out, that would signify incoming problems. As I mentioned yesterday inside my tweets on X, certainly the Bank of Japan ticked the box. That is off the radar for the current time, but that's going to take months to play out anyway. That unwinding of the Japanese yen carry trade, it's still alive and well, and it still has to be dealt with. But it's literally Iran and Israel that we need to keep our eye on now. If that escalates into a full-blown war, it's likely to drag the major powers into it. Therefore, how do we deal with times and periods of uncertainty like this? We need to look at structure. Structure is always obeyed. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Doing your daily three-dimensional risk management is incredibly important. You have to have a strategy if things go your way or if things go against you. And you need to make decisions ahead of time. If price decides to break down, what are you going to do? Are you going to dollar cost average in more, or are you going to just turn your position over and buy at a lower percentage, thereby putting the percent in your favor? But without structure, you're just blind inside the market. Over the past 24 hours, we saw total crypto market cap come down like this. Now, what were the structural levels? Let's pop on the indicator from the service. We know that we had a technical bounce as the VIX came down. That started to rally, but the VIX started to come up again, and that's put pressure on all markets right across the board. Even so, we have a guide inside the market. You can see this particular level just around that $1.96 trillion. That was a structural support area. We came up into structural resistance, in fact 3 levels of them, and we saw these long tail rejections. That basically means that the sellers are getting too strong. We got pushed back through that, back to this structural support, which then failed. A structural failure will always push you down to a stronger structural level below. And if that fails, a stronger structural level below that. If it's not going above, it's going below. This is the key understanding inside structural analysis. If you can look at CTKS structure and understand what this is telling you, and it's telling you a very specific story, and we go through that story in level 1 and level 2 standard certification, where you can actually draw up these lines, but I'll just explain it to you. When you're looking at this particular price action, you can see it's weakening, and it failed in this particular area. On that failure, it's saying, I want to go down to this level. Now, when you look at total, you may say, Ken, what the heck are you looking at total for? I just want to look at XRP or Solana or something else, ADA. But however, have a very specific structure and very specific way you do your analysis. Look at total crypto market cap first, then look at Bitcoin, and then look at your beloved alt. Without that knowledge, you'll just be guessing, and you're likely buying at the wrong time. You don't want to do that. As part of my risk management strategy at the current time, I'm only day trading because the markets are far, far too volatile. What you typically see is the markets tend to come down when you're resting, when you're asleep. This is a strategy that works for me. It may not work for you. You've just got to do what works for you. If you're just a long-term investor, please make sure that you have a trading account, and especially one with low fees. But no matter what you're doing, look at total crypto market cap first. Just observe what's happening with structural levels. Are they failing? Are they passing? What is actually occurring? If we get a positive movement up, we're heading towards this $1.922 trillion mark. But if we lose that and we get negative momentum, we're coming back to the 1.889. Now, why is this important? Because this particular pattern is playing out on your alts, but you need confirmation from another source. I'll show you what I mean. In sell-off events, Bitcoin and total crypto market cap need to be read together. And what we can see, Bitcoin is following a very similar basis to total crypto market cap, which is not surprising. But we need to understand where the structural levels are. So let's pop on that indicator. At the 57,400 mark, we had a level of structural resistance and we were trying to get above it, just trying, but it broke down. Now, what did this mean? You see, it broke down to two lower structural support levels and then came up to retest the 57,400 mark before breaking down. That was a failed retest, and that was an absolute retest. Then we saw this failure at 56,800, moving down to the next structural level, which caught it at 56,000. You notice that total crypto market cap has a lot of structural support through this area and through this area. This area in total crypto market cap is capturing Bitcoin at this time. Just flipping back to total crypto market cap, this is exactly what I'm talking about here. And you can see when you look at the Bitcoin chart, there are a couple of levels of structure just inside this price action. Let's flip back. But before we do, notice this structure on total crypto market cap. It's really vital. Moving back to Bitcoin, we see at $55,100, there are two light levels of structural support. Bitcoin is just mildly above it, trying to determine if it can make a higher high here. The verdict is out at the moment, but it's looking relatively okay. If it comes back and retests these levels, that will play out on total crypto market cap. Now, Ken, how can you know this? Because I look at this every single day, and we're starting to see a bit of a breakout here. That's fantastic. That breakout, especially if we get some kind of retest, could put 56,000 on the radar. But if it fails and undersides retests on that 55,090, it could mean lower price action. One thing to be aware of, we're in a dead zone. In terms of liquidity, the US session has just finished. The Australian session, Sydney session, will open in a couple of hours. Now, what that means is that retail plays in the dead zone, and the dead zone is usually a continuation zone. But when the main markets open, we may get this kind of follow-through like we saw inside the US. So please, make sure that you understand your session times and how they're playing out inside your charts, because it's all about liquidity. With that fantastic news on the XRP front, we've seen a major reversal, and this is what we love about crypto. Crypto does this all the time, but we have to be aware of the wider geopolitical and interdependent nature of markets. But however, inside XRP structure is a overhead level of structural resistance that is quite strong, between 67.45 and 69.99. The XRP news is very, very good for the crypto community. And up here, between 80.56 and 84.60 is the next major level of structure. So if we manage to get through that structure, we may see consolidation for some time. And coming up to this structure, XRP is known to do this. Just go up very quickly, tap liquidity areas and decay backwards. But at least you know where the liquidity areas are. Looking at Ethereum on the daily basis, we can see that that sell down has now got a follow through. So whilst XRP has got some really good news, and that's ended up liquidating a lot of shorts inside XRP's price structure. Therefore, you tend to get these big God candles because all the shorts are saying, yeah, I'm going to push the price down, but they were wrong. This negative price momentum is no issue to us whatsoever. We love the negative volatility and we go long at spot. That means that we're anticipating retracement actions and we're experts as a global family in doing so. We call it Borsog, buy on red, sell on green. And just to explain what I mean by short liquidations, across the past 24 hours we've seen a little over 200 million in total liquidations, the vast majority being long. But look at XRP over the 24-hour period. Over the 12-hour period, yeah, XRP, the shorts are getting hammered. That is what is bringing up XRP's price. Over the past week, people have been very bearish inside the market, and here we're looking at XRP's price. You can see all these shorts in here. They have all been liquidated. This is holding positions for 1 week, so they're being cleaned out of the market. Even though the news of XRP is really good, it's a big win for XRP and Ripple, but also a big win for the crypto industry. The inverted VIX is still coming down. We must be aware of this. If it keeps on going, and we've not even got into the Iran and Israel war just yet, it's just going to mean that there will be phenomenal bargains afoot, but you will need to manage your risk well. The best way to manage your risk is to know where the structural levels are across the charts and understand the intercorrelation and interdependence. Also, keep your eyes on the futures, especially the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Russell 2000 and the Dow. What you've seen here is when we get big sell-offs, all markets tend to come back into correlation with each other. This is wildly important because when you get back inside correlation, you can start to see as the VIX just shot up, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the Dow and the Russell all cratered. And then we had that slight retracement. For example, the VIX went up and then it shot down and then it's come up. What happened inside these charts? The S&P 500 came down, and you notice that blue line, that's Bitcoin. That also came down. Then you had a retracement on the Bank of Japan news, and we had a retracement inside crypto as well. Now the markets have come down. What's Bitcoin doing? It's coming down. And if Bitcoin is coming down, no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. But you may say, Ken, what about XRP? Of course, that's fantastic news, absolutely. But on average, no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. Depending on what project you have, some of those alts will bleed out far in excess of what Bitcoin does. For example, when we look at Bitcoin's price, we know exactly what was happening here through total and Bitcoin, through the structural levels. That structural understanding just gives everything away. And we can see when we look at Ethereum, that blue line is Bitcoin's gravity. You can see how well and tightly they follow each other. Of course, XRP has liquidated just so many shorts that there's very few shorts left to liquidate. That means that the buyers, if they don't step in, price could just crater down. So there needs to be a lot of buying to keep this momentum positive. When we look at Binance Coin, it's just following Bitcoin's gravitational pull. Solana is also following. Doge is following. ADA is following. But this news inside XRP is really, really good for the crypto market. It should give some pause for people to say, crypto is safe? Wow, the SEC couldn't do anything to Ripple, even though it was trying to destroy it for so many years. It's a huge win for the entire crypto industry. It's also good to bear in mind, like, for example, if we look at Nvidia, this blue line is, of course, Bitcoin's gravitational pull. That's Bitcoin's price. And what we see here, as Bitcoin came down, what was Nvidia doing? It was coming down. But as things turned around, what was Nvidia doing? It was turning around and then basing and then falling down. You can see understanding Bitcoin and total crypto levels are just an asset for you. It's like money in the bank. Sorry for the pun. The idea is that you can use a very high-risk asset class like Bitcoin to detect risk-on and risk-off sentiment inside the market. I would also suggest, if you're trading the US session, please keep your eye on the VIX. A very beloved ambassador and friend, Tales from the Man Cave, Nick, suggested that I look at Nvidia's levels. So let's look at them structurally. Now, when you're looking at structural levels, you're almost like a geologist. You want to understand the different layers of price history. Nvidia closed at 98.74, and we can see these structural levels. There was a lot of strength through this particular area of Nvidia's price chart, around that 101 area. And we found that we were getting above that. You notice the structural levels are like either ceilings or floors. And we also know that the S&P 500 and the futures, the Nasdaq, they all broke down at this point, and Nvidia broke down as well. The fact that Nvidia has broken down from all this structural support means there's an incredible amount of weakness inside the market. This is on a 30-minute time frame. And you can see this big candle here, this big tail, is testing all of those structural levels and failing. Now, what is it going to do? If it can't get above, it's going to the one below. And that one below is around 98.30. And we can see post-market, Nvidia is trading at 98.04, which is indicating a move below this structural support level. There's a lot of negative price momentum inside the major markets at the current time. We've had a look at the structural levels on Bitcoin, total crypto market cap, as well as XRP, and also Nvidia. If you would like to see some structural levels on any of the Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 charts, and don't forget, we've got 5 more down here that you can look at, please let me know in the comments. When you understand how to read tiered charts, it is incredible. Just please keep your eyes on the structure of Total and Bitcoin before you look at any of your beloved alts. They're going to make the difference. If you go across to ctksmethod.org, there's a newsletter coming soon that's going to have tremendous value. Please sign up if you haven't already. Also, if you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the trades that I've shared on YouTube. There's a lot of money to be made from the markets, and I made quite a bit yesterday as well. And that was simply from a day trading perspective. Day trade just means that you don't trust the market enough to keep your money in overnight. It's also really important to keep confident, to understand that the markets are infinite opportunity generating machines. Literally, I just treat each day as just the same day and a different date inside the markets. So when you see an opportunity, go for it. And always remember, life pullbacks will give you the strength for the next life rally. If you remain dedicated and committed, focusing on winning or learning and never blaming, you're going to do incredibly well in life. And always seek to solve your problems with positive excellence. It absolutely makes the difference. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.